We've broken through in the right spot!
Quiet.
We've recruited someone well suited to the task.
One of the Knights of the Order? Did the pious bastard sweat as he succumbed to the temptation of gold?
Knights of the Flaming Rose are useful on the battlefield, not in sewers.
I think you'll be pleased, my lord.
Stand ready. He killed Vanamar.
And many other mages. I know who he is, Cynthia.
In the same city as Philippa, and you didn't even bother to change your name. That takes balls.
Philippa's out of the picture. She's been arrested.
And I was supposed to die, but I didn't. Grave error.
I'll make you a deal.
How can I get into the Nilfgaardian camp?
There's one entrance. Beyond it, a long, heavily guarded corridor. You can't hope to sneak in. Renwald Matson chose the spot specifically to avoid being surprised.
Where are you holding Triss?
At the back of the camp, beneath a ruined building.
You're gonna help me free her?
Not likely. You're better off killing me now. You've no idea what the Emperor's intelligence apparatus does to turncoats.
You don't get it. You turned Triss into a cold stone. I'm having a hard time trying to figure out why I shouldn't turn you into a cold corpse.
She is alive and well. We decompressed her successfully. There were no complications.
And the interrogation after she was decompressed? Because you did interrogate her.
I personally supervised it. We presented the tools, gave her a few bruises, and that sufficed to get her to talk.
Tools? A few bruises? You really don't want to leave this crypt alive.
If we're to die, we'll do so proudly, serving the Emperor. But I think that unlikely. Contrary to what they say, you're no murderer. Triss told me so.
Got anything else to tell me?
Just one thing. I've supervised dozens of interrogations. All subjects talk sooner or later. That's an old truth. Though some resist longer than others. Triss Merigold did not resist at all. She grew pale at the mere sight of the saws, hooks, and needles. She was prepared to talk before the interrogation began.
I'm no good at interrogating others. Tell me, or I'll cut your hands off.
The Lodge of Sorceresses. We know its members. Margarita Loantil, Francesca Findabert, Fringilla Vigo.
Skip it. I'm not interested.
The assassinations of the kings. Philippa and Sheila de Thansarville commissioned them.
What else?
I don't know anymore. The subject needed to recover after the first session.
Why are you here?
We suspect Dearhenna's laboratory may contain documents and books that could be useful to the Imperial Academy of Science.
That wasn't even close to funny. You're lying.
We don't know what's inside. Dearhenna was a talented man, but also an eccentric.
What do you hope to find?
That's confidential. I cannot tell you. Regardless, we need your help. The laboratory lies beneath the Redanian camp, which we cannot penetrate above ground. We want to get there through the sewers, but can't manage it without a capable swordsman.
Any deals we make will not be on your terms.
Hear me out.
So be it.
Witcher, help me complete my mission. Help me open Dearhenna's laboratory.
What'll you give me?
I've read the intelligence reports. I know your past. There are things in there, important things you don't remember.
I could force you to tell me.
I don't think so. Will you torture me? We both know you couldn't.
Fine. I'll help you open the laboratory.
In exchange, I'll tell you all I can. Do we have a deal?
Yeah. One more thing.
We made a deal.
I'm even faster with my sword. No tricks.
Are we likely to encounter drowners? Or a related species? Perhaps other monsters?
That is how this world's built. Sewers are infested with monsters.
If there's a fight, protect the scholars. We can take care of ourselves.
If only we could produce even basic sketches of those tombs. Damn shame.
The tombstones are arranged in a manner typical of elven necropolises.
I'm finding those imbeciles increasingly irritating.
No.
it!
I'm no rat to run around sewers. What we're looking for, anyway? Some graves, I heard.
Graves? So maybe there is something in this for us.
Shut your traps. Want the sergeant to hear? We've been deep shite.
We've got company.
The entrance must be somewhere here.
If our experts are to be trusted.
Dearhenna dabbled in illusions, among other things.
He also experimented heavily with golems.
Golems with the power of speech, supposedly. They knew nothing of poetry, but...
Will you two shut up?
Yes, it's an illusion. I found a weak spot. Stand back. Later Elorn. Lisa Elorn. Later, dear!
Have you noticed?
At times I'm caught. You can get my kind of feat. Though I have no needles, they say I am piercing. What am I?
Careful with the answer. It could be a trap.
Typical of Dearhenna. He was a genius with a penchant for mischievous jokes. Like a child.
So a couple of adults, purported experts, should have no problem solving this.
Indeed, it's trivial. The answer is pain.
Incorrect.
No! Impossible! So many years of research together. Why did we ever embark on this? Imagine the books, the potions. My poor friend.
We must go on.
Let's get this over with quickly.
I'm seen to fly, described as hard. I can be your currency and heal all wounds, but not many things can stand my test.
What do you think? Just keep it serious this time. We don't need another corpse.
I think it's a feather. Lifted high into the air by the wind, it can appear to fly.
I was a mistress of riddles at the age of 10, but I've never heard of feather money or of fluff being a test of anything. The sun might work.
It appears to fly, can be punishing. It's minted on Nilfgaardian florins, and surviving it in the Korath Desert is a man's ultimate test. Fits nicely. But what if it's death? A metaphor for death.
Master Farid reveals his poetic soul. Touching. Too bad all the solutions are unlikely.
What do you suggest? Time? The Redanian eagle? A toothless vampire? Perhaps the Witcher has a better idea.
Correct.
It's going rather well so far.
Not for everybody. Someone's been here recently.
Well, well, the competition's here. Kill them!
Armored knights!
They must have descended straight from their quarter.
Let a Nordling.
Another guardian. Later Elorn. Lisa Elorn. Later, dear! It's reacting to my spell. I wager we have a few more of Dearhenna's surprises for unwanted visitors ahead.
A group of travelers wandering through the dark. 3 guides above them, so 3 were marked. At night they trailed a drake serpentine and a silver lady shining and fine. If only her visage she would deign to unfold. By day they followed a mountain vault, its riches untold.
Did I hear someone complain about the riddles being too easy?
Let's think this through. There are 9 alcoves, a fresco in each. That's 3 groups of 3 frescoes.
The riddle mentions 3 guides above the travelers. We must examine the frescoes, seek answers there.
I'll advise you about the riddle, but I will not take part in disarming the device. I've got a bad feeling about this.
What do you think of the first verse?
I would say it describes a serpentine dragon swallowing its own tail, which represents infinity and thus time. The hourglass likewise symbolizes time. In this case, the time of the traveler's journey.
I believe it's the dragon constellation. It would be visible at night. What's more, sources on alchemy invariably portray dragons as winged, and as an accomplished alchemist, Dearhenna would also be a competent astrologer. The verse must refer to the constellation.
In alchemy, the winged serpentine dragon represents prime matter, an essential component in the process of alchemical transformation. The verse seems to indicate the allegory illustrating that transformation.
It should be the dragon constellation.
I shall take that one.
What do you think of the second verse?
To my mind, it speaks of the white rose, symbol of the Order of the Flaming Rose. You see, the fresco itself resembles a coat of arms, and in heraldry silver is rendered as white. So the Silver Lady and White Rose are one and the same.
I think it describes the full moon. In alchemy, the moon represents both silver as a metal and the feminine element.
The order remains largely unknown in the south, so the White Rose seems unlikely. Every Nilfgaardian, on the other hand, has heard of the Imperial Nausicaa Brigade, which has the Death's Head as its symbol. The brigade's name is female, and they say death follows the unit. So the Silver Lady could very well be Nausicaa or the Death's Head.
Can someone remind me how the line was worded?
As I recall, the second verse was, "A silver lady shining and fine, if only her visage she would deign to unfold."
I think it's the full moon.
Allow me.
What do you say to the third verse?
It describes the precipice, the ravine amidst mountains. An ancient rule in alchemy states, "As above, so below." The vault is the ravine into which the riches of the mountain flow.
We must read the third line literally. To me, it suggests the Mahakam Mountains and its mines, from which dwarves and gnomes extract many ores that are invaluable to alchemists. Those mountains are a vault in and of themselves.
The verse is not literal. In many legends, towers are in fact vaults, which the hero must penetrate in order to rescue an imprisoned princess or find a long-concealed magic item. The mountain vault is the tower.
Can someone remind me how the line was worded?
The third fragment mentioned a mountain vault containing untold riches which guided the travellers by day.
The mine entrance in the mountainside. That seems logical. I'll stand next to that fresco. Let's see if we can solve this. Take your places.
Count me out. I want to live.
As you will.
Intruder detected.
No!
Our expedition has grown thin. Such a shame. I actually found those two amusing.
Shut up.
Of course, my lady.
Too bad about Gaspar.
I expected a greater challenge. Thus far we've had but riddles fit for beer enthusiasts.
A golem? So Dearhenna's legend is true?
It is no more than an obedient machine created to follow orders and kill. Not unlike our Witcher.
So I guess we should get along famously.
You? What do you know about golems?
I don't run into them in every forest, but any good bestiary describes golems at length, and I've read more than my share of those.
Geralt, I'm not questioning your knowledge, but I should be the one to...
Actually, you are questioning my knowledge. Listen, I know what I'm doing. I'll try to get it to reveal the word that'll deactivate it, or I'll just mess with its head. Break the code.
So now we've got a burglar in our midst. Be my guest. Try.
My intentions are good.
As are mine. Know, however, that this may change.
Dearhenna must have been pretty lonely if he gave you eloquence.
The Master made me a guardian. Nothing less, nothing more. And you, provided you stand there, are a guest.
So you're aware you're an automaton?
Do we really know who we are, where we came from, and where we are headed? Is human life predictable in that the cycle of birth and death ensnares it? Better than mine. When a human is born, he is obedient to his parents. Later, he listens to tutors, masters, corporals. Finally, he succumbs to the will of death.
And to think that Adalbert questioned Dearhenna's mastery. Who, if anyone, is allowed to pass?
Dearhenna, but he is dead. Also guests may pass, but I stop intruders.
Tell me more. Who's a guest and who's an intruder?
Is it not obvious? A guest keeps his distance, or knows the name word. An intruder is anyone who enters too far, attacks me, or otherwise interferes with my being.
Who, if anyone, is allowed to pass?
Dearhenna.
Tell me more. Who's a guest and who's... Has anyone tried to enter before?
I recall no intruders. I do, however, remember guests who left after being warned.
When was that? What did you discuss?
I am a machine. My memory is limited.
You're far more self-aware than a typical golem. Can you make sovereign decisions?
The Master made me the way I am, because long discussions were to his liking. I can make decisions, within my program, of course.
So you decide who's a guest and who's an intruder?
Who else would? Guests chat innocuously, exerting no pressure. All others are intruders.
Do you remember your creator?
Of course. I was summoned into being by Master Dearhenna. I abide by his will, by his power, by the necessity encased in my stone bowels.
Dearhenna is dead.
His word, which animates me, lives on, as does his legacy, which I protect. Empires will rise and fall, rivers will shift their courses, but I will remain obedient to one master on my eternal watch.
Can I ask you for the name word which brought you to life and which can deactivate you?
Do that, and I shall consider you an intruder.
Did your creator give you a name?
I am called obedience and unyielding persistence. I am a guardian and the humblest of servants.
A golem's name is the word that gave it life, and that can take it away. You must have a name.
I own nothing. Everything belongs to my master. How could I divulge the name if I exist solely to protect my creator's property?
Powerful magic created you. Dearhenna was a true master.
He is still, since his mastery survives.
As a conscious being, you must be lonely here.
You are wrong. The pain of the world, melancholy, lies within the domain of emotions and feelings. My thoughts are governed by pure logic, restricted by my program.
But you can learn. They say that a penchant for philosophy can only come from curiosity.
In my case, it comes from the will of the Master, who liked to speak with me.
And do you feel a need to discuss?
I feel nothing. I just have that need.
Can we discuss the program that controls your behavior?
Of course not.
All right. I think I know how to get past this thing without a fight.
Burglar witchers, philosopher golems, an expedition replete with fascinating discoveries.
And terrible disappointments. Shut up, Adelbear. And you, Witcher, deal with that golem.
We know you exist by the will of your master, thanks to the name word he gave you.
That is true.
You were created to discern intruders from guests. You are to stop the former and greet the latter.
Intruders must be stopped.
Are you aware that intruders may seek to deceive you?
I have stone fists to defend myself against those armed with swords. I have my iron logic to defend against those armed with words.
But intruders could include sorcerers who alter reality. They could be illusionists or mere liars. What then is certain?
My existence is certain, as is my master's will.
Since only you and the master's legacy exist for certain, everything else is doubtful. A malicious intruder could cloud your senses.
I am the guardian. The master prepared me for that.
He couldn't foresee everything, so he gave you a mind to compensate. You're much more conscious and intelligent than a guardian needs to be. Your master says, greet guests and stop intruders. That is certain, but everything else can be a lie. And you cannot allow yourself to attack guests. That would be against your master's will.
Guests must be greeted, and intruders must be stopped. This is Dearhenna's will. Are you a guest or an intruder?
Doesn't matter what I answer. Your senses deceive you. You can trust only your mind. You can't assume I'm a guest, because I may be an intruder. You can't assume I'm an intruder, because I may be a guest.
This is a contradiction, a paradox. The law of excluded middle.
Let's have a look. Dear!
The device. What is it?
You've done your job. You'll be paid and...
Paid like the scholars were? They died once they were no longer useful.
They were never useful, but Cynthia insisted. Fortunately, they were so kind as to remove themselves without my help.
I'm not about to be that kind.
Adelbear, you know what you're to look for.
Yes, ma'am.
It's a prototype megascope. I didn't know it had survived.
What's it do?
The artifact detects an emotional bond with a person. Its user need only focus on that person and the device will establish a connection.
Great tool for a spy.
Yes.
Time you fulfilled your end of the bargain. What do you know about my past?
You were a rider of the Wild Hunt. I read the reports.
Don't the Nilfgaardians have anything better to do than write reports about witchers?
Not about witchers. About you. You are the sole person to have been a member of the host, and survived.
Anything else? Any detail you can give me would be useful.
Don't trust Letho.
You think I trust the people I hunt?
He's your foe today, but he wasn't always.
Is there anything to prove I was part of the Wild Hunt?
Nothing. Apart from the fact that Nilfgaardian intelligence agents are drawn and quartered for lying in their reports.
An enlightened nation indeed.
You haven't the faintest notion how many people are interested in you. Very important people.
Just because I survived?
You're a former rider of the hunt, and you live. You may be the key to solving the mystery of the retinue, and they all know that. You must watch out for yourself.
How do you know I knew Letho?
I've read...
The reports, I know. Why are you warning me about him?
Because I like you.
Let's say you've satisfied my curiosity.
Well then, consider me glad to have satisfied a witcher, whatever the way.
I'd like to try out the device.
You realize that can only end badly.
Cut in again and I'll put you in my report. You may use it, but just once.
Giving state secrets away to a Nordling. Will you mention that in your report?
You're sure to be named a commander one day, Adalbert. But until that happens, be a good boy and do your job.
Article 22 of the Code is clear. Suspicion of treason is sufficient grounds to strip a commander of power. Article 1 of my personal code is equally clear. Traitors must be subjected to the most painful death possible.
Multiplication. Second year at the academy, all mages learn it.
I didn't expect you to take my side.
Well, now choose one person you wish to contact. After that, the artifact's mine.
Nilfgaardian agents get quartered for lying in reports. What does the Empire do to agents who kill their colleagues?
Nothing. As long as no one finds out.
Will we meet again?
I wouldn't mind at all. Look for me at the inn.
I'd appreciate it if you didn't eavesdrop while I eavesdropped.
I shan't trouble you. I have a lot of work to do here.
Fate is in your hands, sorceress.
My fate? You haven't asked a single question about me.
Yet it is all up to you. Your situation is a comfortable one. Do not squander your chance. So, wish to tell me anything?
I'm a sorceress, an advisor to the King of Temeria. Ah!
I believe we agreed you would speak only of things I do not know about.
I hope you learned something useful.
I'm just sorry I can't use the artifact a few more times.
Its power has been depleted.
I understand. Thanks anyway. We need to talk.
Of course.
You had me fooled back in Vergen. That sweet face of yours. Never suspected it could belong to someone who fanatically believes in conquering the North.
Mock me if you must. But I truly believe one huge empire is humanity's only hope. Many nations under one crown, with shared laws, advanced science, burgeoning industry and trade, and no wars, of course.
Sounds great. Let me know when it works out. I'd gladly spend my old age in a land like that. These ruins must hold many secrets.
I'm certain of that. It was a beautiful city, a city full of talent and hope. But that ill ended with the coming of the Nordling armies.
Think the city would have survived if those armies had been Imperial?
Your king started the war with the Enshe. Nilfgaard's relations with the elves have always been peaceful.
They really did a job on your brain. That was an interesting adventure, Cynthia.
Yes. People bond over experiences like that.
Yeah, kinda makes you wonder what happened back in Vergen. Did you get your promotion?
Not yet. But His Imperial Majesty rewards dedication.
Can he discern the truth from lies?
What do you mean?
I take it the Emperor has no idea his sorceress helped a mutant kill a Nilfgaardian mage.
It was a dangerous expedition. Casualties were inevitable. He'll content himself with that.
Got time to talk? Or are you off on another dangerous mission?
Even we Nilfgaardian agents rest sometimes.
Used the artifact yet?
I'm working on improving it. I think it'll be useful one day.
I found some of Dearhenna's notes. He studied the history of the Vrans, right?
Among other things.
He makes several mentions of an epidemic.
Loc Muinne conceals many more secrets than we imagined. I doubt we'll ever know all of them.
Well, if Dearhenna's to be trusted, the epidemic had something to do with the Enshe. Maybe the Vrans caught the disease from the elves.
I'm no expert on diseases, Witcher. Who knows? Perhaps Dearhenna was right, and the decline of Vrani civilization was much darker and more sudden than we thought.
You knew what we'd find in that laboratory.
Come again?
You wanted the bacteria strains that killed the Vrans, or more precisely, Dearhenna's notes from his research into them.
This is very dangerous knowledge.
I suspect that's exactly why the Emperor is so interested.
The North is in chaos. An epidemic is the last thing you need. And one could break out if Dearhenna's book fell into the wrong hands.
Fortunately, it's now in the right hands. In Emir's civilized and manicured hands.
Precisely.
I'm finding it hard to believe anything you say.
Did you come here to insult me?
No. Sorry.
What exactly do you want?
I was curious. I wanted to see which Cynthia I'd meet this time. The spy, the sorceress, or maybe the woman.
Which were you hoping to meet?
The real one.
Let's assume you're speaking to her. How do you like her?
Let's say I like her quite a bit.
Compliments are clearly not your forte.
I just told you why I've come. Care to tell me why you invited me?
Let's say I was interested to see which Geralt would show up.
And? The minstrels got it right. Women of the South are both passionate and clever.
I like to improvise.
Yeah, I noticed. Farewell, Cynthia.
Verfail.